Welcome back to Personalist Manifestos. I'm Michael Morelli, the host of this ongoing conversation about contemplative revolution. To kick off a new year and the first episode of 2026, I've got a special treat for you. An on-location dialogue with none other than Nick Boyczuk, the founder and proprietor of Electric Eagle Tattoo Shop, and as you may have heard me mention in other episodes, my very own tattoo artist. In this sense, our conversation is about as personal and weirdly personalist as you can get. In fact, at one point in the conversation, it occurred to me that having Nick on the podcast is like having my therapist on the podcast. Except in this case, it's a salty languaged therapist who draws on me with a tattoo rig made from electric doorbell components, the old school, traditional way. But there's more to our conversation than tattoo talk among trauma-bonded buds here. There's conversation about creativity, about commitment, about discipline, about tradition, about listening, about care, about courage, about growth, and about God. All the elements, in other words, of the kinds of conversations you normally hear on Personalist Manifestos. And so with that, here's my conversation with Nick. Welcome to another episode of Personalist Manifestos. And this is a first where we are filming on location in a tattoo studio, no less. Electric Eagle Tattoos with Nick Boyczuk.
The one and only.
The one and only Nick Boyczuk. And
literally, my last name, I'm the only one.
yes, it's singular.
Yeah, it's bad.
Technically speaking, you have made an appearance on this show, at least in quote form. I was in a conversation recently and I talked about the punched in the face filter wisdom.
Loved that.
And how social media bypasses the punched in the face filter, or I might get punched in the face filter. And I think that's what prompted the idea of us talking, whereas like,
Yeah. Did you like my comment on it?
yes, I really did.
I'm trying to think of the biblical way to say it or what the actual one is, but it's like talk smack, get hit.
Yes, and those are the ones that are the most humbling for me because I talk way too much. So whenever I read the Proverbs that talk about how a fool uses way too many words and ends up getting hit, and a wise person keeps their mouth shut and is reflective, I realize how much I fall short of being wise.
Have you ever done a word fast without telling people you're doing a word fast?
No.
Should.
Have you?
Yep. It's super awkward. I used to be really bad for being a yes man. And I did a yes fast.
Okay.
So this is when I was in Teen Challenge when I was like 20.
Right.
So it's a little more curated, right? Like for one solid day, I couldn't say yes. I mean, obviously to like authority, I could say yes, but like I was sitting at dinner and the salt and pepper right in front of me, and guy beside me, he's like, "Hey, can you pass the salt and pepper?" And I had to be like, "Nope." No, and I couldn't tell him either.
Really? That was the rule?
Yeah. So when you learn to embrace that like silence and the awkwardness of saying no, it's hard, but it was very fruitful.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll do that. But I like the fact that you don't tell anybody because it's such a piety flex
Oh yeah.
when you're fasting with anything and you tell people and you make a big show of it, and not telling people
Well,
it
it's
doesn't get any
biblical.
more real than that.
It's biblical. Like it's rebuked making a show of it. I wish I remembered which verse, but
Yeah. No, don't make yourself all messy.
Yeah.
Make yourself presentable.
Oh yeah, don't clothe yourself in sackcloth.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't make a
tell that to
performance of
Gen
it.
Z.
Yeah. So now that we've had a little bit of classic Michael and Nick banter,
The best.
we always start with something very simple and complex,
Mhm.
which is the question, who is Nick Boyczuk? What do people need to know about you?
I would like to be known for my golf, but that's never going to happen. No, Okay, let's start with this is hard because it's like, do I list priorities or like facts? So I'll start. I'm 31 years old. My name is Nick Boyczuk. I'm born and raised Kelowna, BC. I've been in the Fraser Valley for about 8 years now. I'm a Christian. I'm a husband, father, tattoo shop owner, and tattooer. I used to competitively skateboard and snowboard, and now I play mediocre golf. I love theology. I love hanging out with people. Like, it's very social, and yeah, I think that's probably the best way I could describe myself. Very ADHD. Yeah. So
that's a good,
that makes it fun.
That's a good start. And I remember when we actually realized that you are from Kelowna and I actually grew up in Vernon. And you remember what you said about Vernon? That the Vernon kids were crazier than the Kelowna kids?
Oh yeah. No, Vernon kids are terrifying, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you heard about like the reputation of like Rutland kids in Kelowna, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're like sheltered Bible college kids compared to the Vernon kids.
I don't know what it is about Vernon, but it does something to your brain. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
So I trust you enough to let you decoratively embalm me. That's the word that you use to describe tattooing.
Yeah. Or drawing on people with electric crayons.
Yes. Or giving adult stickers.
Yeah.
Did I send you that meme?
Probably.
Where it's like, tattoos are stickers for adults who do a good job.
I'm sorry. Your next tattoo has to be a gold star.
Actually, that might not be bad.
We'll make it look like a sticker too. Like, I'll do that little white border around it, so it'll look like gold star stickers.
I love it. That's great. But tell me how you got into tattooing.
I'm gonna try and use efficient words here. Because there's a bit of a backstory. So I started getting tattooed when I was 15 or 16. I couldn't get into a shop. So my best friend at the time worked at Carl's Jr. And and I was trying to get into a shop, couldn't. And I guess one of his coworkers did tattoos out of his house. So this middle-aged dude that worked at Carl's Jr. He's like, yo, my coworker will tat you. And I'm like, sick. Nothing will go wrong here, dude. This is tight. So 16-year-old or whatever, however old I was, I show up to this dude's house in Rutland, funny enough. And he looks like he just woke up. I'm pretty sure there was like cocaine residue on the table too that he tattooed me off of. And like, it just like, we were smoking cigarettes inside. And he's like, what do you want? I'm like, I want a wolf, like a sick wolf, dude. And like, I was like, whatever you draw, dude, I'll get it. Just make it sick. And he did this wolf on the back of my leg. And so I got tattooed in Sketchpart Town on this dude's couch that worked at Carl's Jr. But obviously hid it from my parents. And I was able to hide it for about, it's either 3 weeks or 3 months, one of the two, probably 3 weeks. I'm not the smartest, but so my mom sees it, gets super mad. And then like a week later, she's like, hold on, let me see your tattoo. And I'm like, sick. Mom's finally not acknowledging how tight this is. Like, and she starts howling laughing. And I was like, what? And she's like, I'll do the PG-13 version. She's like, you idiot. I was like, what? She's like, that wolf only has 3 legs. And I checked and it for sure did. But once we realized that, she gave me the thumbs up to go to a real tattoo shop to get it fixed. And this is when I was...
And get the 4th leg.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they did a full rework, but I ended up going to the shop when I was 17 in Kelowna. And it was called Narbonne. And it was tight, dude. It was like lime green walls, graffiti. The owner the first time I walked in there, the owner was bragging about his chest piece because it had it was some deity that they tried to fit as many individual breasts onto. And he's like, how sick is this? She's got 7 breasts. That's not the word he used, but and the other guys all were like scary bikers, and I thought I was gonna die, but at the end of the tattoo, I remember looking down at it and like, I was terrified of these guys. It hurt. And then I saw the tattoo and I'm like, whoa, how did you do that? Like, that's way better than I could have ever expected. And like the whole experience. And then like all of a sudden these guys didn't kill me and they just treated me like their best friend. And I'm like, there's magic here. And it was that individual time getting tattooed as a teenager at my first professional shop where it was like, there's magic here. This is cool. This is like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know how to explain it, but like, wow. And so the same way that some kids want to be an astronaut, but like, let's be real. Like most kids don't become astronauts. Like that's how I view tattooing. I almost view tattooing as like more than I probably would have believed that I could have been an astronaut easier than a tattooer because it just seemed like such a far off thing. And I'm like, these are the coolest people ever. Like this is the coolest thing ever. And so years go by and I like kind of given an attempt to get into it, but not really. And like, it was a pretty pathetic effort looking back. But when my wife got pregnant, so back up a little bit. I moved to the Fraser Valley to go to Bible college because I wanted to be a pastor. Realized that wasn't for me. Met my wife, got married, got into trades, and when she was pregnant, I wasn't making enough money, so I called my mom. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to open my own house painting company. And I was all proud of myself because like this is a big step and it's a trade, so it's secure. And she's like, Nicholas, that's the worst effing idea you've ever had. I'm like, excuse me? Like, I don't make enough money working for another guy. She's like, no. It's noble. But that's the worst idea ever. Like, you're going to hate that. And she's like, you could succeed, but you're going to hate every step of it and you're never going to reach your potential. You need to do something you're passionate about. And I was like, well, I've always wanted to give tattooing. Like, I've always wanted to be a tattooer. And she's like, do it. And this is like kind of where the ADHD really benefited me. And like, I view it as a superpower. But it was just like something switched and it was like there was no plan B. And I bulldozed my way into tattooing. I couldn't figure out how to get an apprenticeship at first. I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna start tattooing out of my kitchen. Like so I did a ton of research. I started studying it and I just became more obsessed and like hyper fixated. And it was like, it is literally all I could think about. And do it in my kitchen and then end up getting an apprenticeship. Pretty sure that dude was trafficking guns through the shop. So I left there because that's not great when you have a new kid. And yeah, I bulldozed my way in. So to sum all of that up, it was like, I saw the magic. It didn't seem like I could do it. And I got the okay from someone, my mom, but like being like, no, do that. I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. And yeah, I just bulldozed my way in, man.
That's so cool. I love that it's your mom too, because oftentimes parents are the ones who are telling you to play it safe, right? Go with the seemingly safer route, but her to actually say, no, you need to do something that is gonna maybe challenge you and be difficult at times, but something that actually feeds you, something that you actually really care about. Like, don't play it safe.
Carla is an amazing woman. Now, she also had me when she was 18 years old, and she was a single mom, and like she works hard and she's very successful now. And like she knows me so well. Like, and that's what it came down to. She knew that like, and she's right. Like, if I'm not passionate about the reason I'm successful at what I do is because I hyper fixate and I obsess over things, and I get like, it gives me a bit of an advantage. I don't care about house painting. Like,
Nothing
it's just
against
like
house painting, but it's just not your jam.
Like, I painted this shop and I love it. And like, if for trades I was good at it, like it's a trade, that's great. But like, once I get passionate about something, it's like it, I become an unstoppable force and like an immovable object. Like it's
Right.
like nothing stopped me. Like, and she knew that, and like she's like, no, this is what you need to do. And she's a very wise woman. Shout out to Carla.
Shout out to Carla. I want to go back to the shot that you were describing, that experience of magic, and that moment where like I might get beat up, but I also feel so fascinated and also kind of at home.
Mm-hmm.
I think this, maybe I'm projecting here, but you and I both come from similar musical backgrounds too, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
really angry, loud,
Yeah,
aggressive, do-it-yourself music.
there's a parallel.
And I think there is, because I remember the first time seeing people, uh, I didn't know at the time it was like punks. I was talking to a friend of mine, Jimmy, about this a while back. He's like, the first time I saw somebody who had like a mohawk and like a leather jacket and and all that stuff, he was like, I was simultaneously freaked out and so fascinated. And also, there's something inside of me. It's like is looking in a mirror. And like I remember growing up, going to see live music as a kid, but I remember the first show I went to was at like an Elks Hall in Vernon.
Who was the band?
Uh, it was actually a great lineup. It was I don't know if the record label's still around. It was called Small Man Records, and it was a Small Man Records tour. It was like small indie Canadian label.
Cool.
The headliner was a Canadian band called Choke. They're
Okay.
still going.
Yeah, cool. Shout out Choke.
Monine. Band called Layaway Plan, and a band called Wishing Well from Vernon opened.
I've heard about them.
Yes, but it was actually Monine. They just did actually a 20 or 25-year reunion show for their album, Are We Really Happy With Who We Are Right Now? And Sparta played Wiretap Scars in full as well. But it was the first time, like, I just walked in a venue, I was like, it was filled with what everybody would call freaks
Mm-hmm.
and like dangerous kids, right?
The Fringe Society.
The Fringe Society. But I walked in and I was like, I might get beat up. I'm so uncool. I don't fit in here. But there was no issue. And I felt more safe there than anywhere else eventually. But then seeing the bands play, it was something like, I think maybe I can do that. Like it's so far away. But on the other hand, too, like if these random people can do it, maybe I can too. And it's just that magic that once you experience it, it's like there's no going back.
100%. Like specifically the hardcore community too. It's like it's such an interesting community of like, because everyone thinks like, oh, everyone's aggressive in fights, and like, no, like I went to a Bring Me the Horizon concert and did a wall of death with like 5,000 people. Jumped at the last second just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Flipped, dummy, whatever. I landed on the ground, lost the shoe. Before my body hit the ground, I had a circle of people around me picking me up and making sure I was protected. If there is ever like, if you're ever in danger, find your local mosh pit. Like it is the safest place.
Yeah. If you lose a shoe, there was a dude grab it and hold it up.
Dude, there was a dude holding my shoe for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I just assumed I lost. I was like, well, rest in peace, singular band shoe.
Yeah.
This is going to be interesting crossing the border back to Canada. Like,
yeah.
But,
yeah, for real. But the interesting thing too, though, is that, well, you may get to a point where you understand that. You also have to make peace with the fact that there's a contingent within the world that just won't. Right.
But you know what? I think that's what adds to the magic. And so this is a parallel to tattooing. And this is when I first got tattooed, people were like, Nick, like, you might not get certain jobs. And I'm like, they were trying to warn me. And what they did was sink that hook even deeper, because I'm like, whoa, that's cool. There's consequences to this. Like, this is not for everyone. And I don't think hardcore should be for everyone either. I don't think tattooing should be for, honestly, maybe this is like too early for a hot take. I think tattooing is too socially acceptable. Like, I really think we need to discriminate more against people with tattoos. That's part of the magic. I'd say also same thing with the hardcore community is like, you can, if hardcore was on the same level as Taylor Swift, it's not the same.
Yeah.
there's magic in the small fringe.
You can actually tell when that's happening, right? Like boy bands aren't necessarily a sound. Like you can actually see hardcore bands that are just basically boy bands where it's like you can just tell like they rehearsed
Yeah.
like all the moves that they're doing on stage. They're like, all
Yeah.
right, so at this part in the breakdown, we're all gonna do this.
Yeah.
And we're all gonna raise the guitars. You're like, that's like no shade being thrown at boy bands, but that's literally what boy bands do. That's what like it's choreographed.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's the spontaneity and the unpredictability of the music,
the chaos,
the chaos of
the
it.
controlled chaos. It's like and it's nothing. So like with boy bands or Taylor Swift, like I watched the Eras tour, and honestly, I wish I could have gone, because from a sound production point, it is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that there's been any event in history that was coordinated as well as that event was. And like, I'm glad events like that exist, because it can't just be one thing. Because again, if it's all the same, if it's all hardcore, and that's where we fell in, it's like, it's just, there's nothing special. And like what you said, even like there are hardcore bands where it's like everything's so rehearsed in production. Like, did you ever play in bands?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you're a drummer, right?
I started on bass.
Okay.
And then started singing, and then started playing guitar.
So my favorite, wow, I was completely off. My favorite show I
actually appreciate that you thought I was a drummer, though, because I really respect drummer personalities. I think there has to be a certain wiring to be a drummer.
Oh, 100%.
Like a deliberateness of like, I'm going to hit this hard. And I just don't, that's why I'm more of like a bass guitar player, because it's...
You seem like you'd have good groove. There's two drummers though. Like one has a groove and is very smart. You come across as like the more smart drummer. The other is the meathead. Like the reason I left my last band was because the drummer was an absolute cokehead, and I'm like, I can't be around this dude. But he was fast and he was good. But like, I'm like, no, this is not good. But I remember like, so I didn't play like in a ton of bands or a ton of shows, but like I remember playing the Biltmore in Vancouver, where it's like this very professional venue. We've never sounded so good, and it was like, oh, this is cool. I'm playing at the Biltmore. I've seen some of my favorite bands play here. It was all right. We did a last minute show in a buddy's basement when I was in a separate band. Dude, I crowd surfed while playing guitar. I went in a circle pit. I think I cut someone's face open with the tuning peg on my guitar by accident. And it was pure chaos. And we just kept going. And it was the most fun I've ever had. I'm like, there's something happening in this basement tonight. Like,
yeah. Some of the best gigs I've been to have been garage gigs.
100%. It's just raw, unedited. Like,
yeah. That's the way to go. So I want to talk a little bit about the different styles of tattooing, because there are different styles. You work within a particular style mixed in with another little bit of style, but just for like the uninitiated, tell us a little bit about the different like forms of tattooing.
So this is kind of more the artistic thing, is like, so if you look at like traditional styles, like you have the American traditional, like the wartime sailor tattoos, Japanese traditional, think Yakuza, bodysuits, like those old Japanese guys that have like the Yakuza ones being like, it's full coverage, but like you can still hide it because it cuts off right here. Then you get into like Polynesian, the Maori. So those are kind of like the different traditional styles. And then in recent years, like other styles have popped up where it's like new school, illustrative, black and gray, realism, fine line. Honestly, like there's just too many at this point. It's kind of like subgenres in hardcore where it's like, you're like, oh, I really like this band. Like they also play hardcore, and some like dork is like, they're actually metalcore, and I really like melodic hardcore.
Right.
And you're like, dude, I just like these bands.
It's music. Chill
so
out.
it's kind of funny because like if if anyone looks at my work, it's all very traditional influenced. Not necessarily like tribal influenced. I don't have the patience for that. It's very meticulous. Tribal's super cool, and I think if it's done well, it's very cool. I don't have the patience. And like I really enjoy like realistic tattoos, but like this is kind of funny because a lot of people ask me, they're like, "Oh, you must have been an artist growing up." I'm like, no, don't actually care about art that much, like fine art. If I quit tattooing tomorrow, I'd probably never draw again.
Wow.
And the reason that I got into the style that I did was because I'm like, I know I got a few traditional tattoos from different people, and I was like, whoa, this reads different on the skin. Like my first few tattoos were kind of more realistic. And I was like, yeah, this is cool. This looks like the tats I've seen. And then I got a traditional tattoo, and I thought they looked stupid at first. And then I had one on me, and I'm like, whoa, this reads like really cool. And I know they last. So I say I do like traditional influence because I'll break a bunch of rules. Um, but yeah, so like for style of tattoos, if it was like someone had to ask me, I'm just like, it's just traditional influenced. And really all I care about at the end of the day, is that I give you a tattoo that stands the test of time, is readable, and flows with the body good.
Yeah.
For me, I don't care if I'm tattooing an infinity symbol or a Japanese dragon. Like I'm gonna put the same.
Right.
It's just tattooing. Like, and I love tattooing, but if you want an infinity symbol where I know it's gonna bleed together in a few years, and it's like I'm gonna say no to it, and it's not because it's an infinity symbol. It's because I don't want to do a bad tattoo on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the way I tattoo is inspired by traditional, and yeah, now I'm like 6-7 years in, and I think I'm starting to develop a bit of a recognizable style, but that's my style.
It takes time.
It does. I've seen apprentices that start tattooing and they're like, this is my style. I'm like, you should probably focus on learning how to apply a good tattoo first. And they're like, well, no, this is the type of art I like. I'm like, well, it kind of sucks. Like, fine art, subjective. Tape banana to wall, call it art, put some hidden meaning into it, show it to the Pentecostals. They'll find a way to insert emotion or meaning. Tattooing's objective. That's why I like it. It's either good or it sucks. I almost swore there too, but I was like PG-13, Nick.
Yeah, okay.
But no. Like tattooing's either objective or it's bad, or it's either good or it's bad. If it's not going to stand the test of time, if it's not readable, it's a craft. It's an artistic craft.
Yeah.
So,
well, this is what I was thinking about because, like it took me a while to take the leap of faith and get a tattoo. I think I always wanted to, like, just being a part of the culture that we were talking about. Like it always was something that I wanted to do, but I just had to come to terms with the reality of what, you were talking about, of like accepting the possible consequences of having a tattoo, having somebody write you off, and then maybe not getting a job. But we'll talk about this a little bit more on sort of like the sort of like existential side of it all. But like, actually the growth moment for me be like, actually, this is something that I've always wanted to do. And if I'm okay if some people don't understand it, because not in a sort of like, well, like in a sort of nice fairy tale way, like, well, if they judge you because of your tattoos, you don't want to work there anyway. No. It's like, there's something about saying to people, I care about this enough to do this, and if you don't understand it, that's fine. Like it's like an identity thing. So I always was drawn to the traditional style, but then actually working with you and talking to you about this particular style, where it came from, has just, like, I got the hyper focus thing too. And
you felt the magic.
I felt the magic, and then I just started learning more and more about it, and even like the way you build your machines and all that sort of stuff. Like, it is a tradition that goes deep. So do you want to talk about specifically the traditional style, where it comes from and sort of the roots of it and how it's grown and kind of your take on it and how you've learned it. And then now after, 6 or 7 years, now you're starting to innovate after kind of really immersing yourself in the tradition. And then after sort of learning the trade, that's when you start to put your own sort of spin on it.
Yeah, I would say so. I heard the story of this tattooer that um went and did a guest spot in Hawaii, and this guy was more like he was a really good like artist and illustrator, and he went to the shop. He was guest spotting at the shop that Sailor Jerry worked at, and a client walked in and uh was like, "Hey, like there was a bunch of flash sheets," and he's like, "I want that ship off the wall,"
Hmm.
and the guy's like, "Sounds good," or and he took that as like that's kind of what I want. So this guy goes and starts drawing a new ship, like his own ship and all that. And one of the guys that actually worked there came on. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, the guy pointed at that ship, so I'm just drawing him my version." And the guy that worked there full time looked at him and he's like, "You think you can draw a ship better than Sailor Jerry?" But and it's this moment of like, hey, people have this view of Tattoo Flash where they're like, "Oh, that's the old simple stuff," and it's like, no, these are masters.
Hmm.
Like you can look at the guys that came before us, and maybe there's some things that aren't technically proficient, but like it doesn't matter what your area of life. Like older hardcore bands, they didn't write crazy riffs or have crazy production or effects. Like it was just pretty raw. But like current hardcore bands stand on the shoulder of giants, and the same with tattooers. And I realized that like, who am I as a new tattooer to think that I can draw something better than what one of the masters did? And the reference is everywhere. Like, it's so I was like, okay, well, if I want to learn tattooing, like, I guess I should study the masters. So what I did was I just traced, I just found Flash and I traced. And like, one of the beautiful things about tracing is like, if I take a design from Sailor Jerry and I print it on a piece of paper and I start tracing it, I am now making the same hand movements that Sailor Jerry made. And I'm training my brain to make those movements, right? Because like we all have natural biases as we draw. Like we want to, like if I draw a rose, there's certain ways that I'm naturally just going to lean into it, and then I'll go and trace a Jerry rose, and it's like everything in me might be screaming, "No, this isn't how we normally do it." But then you do it, and you're like, "Oh." So it's like you study the masters. Like no one's reinventing the wheel here, and I've kind of the way that I've approached it is like I I've learned from a lot of different styles. Like, um, my independent study and focus has always been traditional and like mostly American.
Hmm.
It's just kind of as of recent that I'm really getting into Japanese. But like, um, year I think it was the second year's tattooing. I worked at a very high profile black and gray realism shop, and I was the only guy there using coil, like the loud coil tattoo machines. I'm the only guy there doing traditional, and like that shop was such a huge benefit to me because I'm so used to my clique
Hmm.
and how things are done. And I'm like, no, no, this is how we do things. This is the old school way. And then I got to see the polar opposite end of that, where everyone's using rotary pens and like the techniques we use are polar opposites. I'm like, why are you doing it like that? And they're like, oh, well, this is why we're doing it like this. And it's like, so I studied it and I started learning, like, okay, like you can find things to benefit from in every style, right? Like, and then you can combine those together. And I'm like, this is kind of how my style is formed. And it's like, it, I think it really shines in my black and gray. Like, it's like my traditional black and gray tattoos where people kind of give me free reign. It's like, I'll use realism techniques and I'll get the smoothest black and gray in a traditional tattoo scene. Like, I'm not trying to like pump my own tires or sound cocky, but like, I can do traditional black and gray way better than most people.
Hmm.
And I have to credit that. So it's like, okay, now we've merged these two styles. When I first started tattooing,
because of the influence of realism.
Yeah, totally. And I didn't put my nose up, be like, I don't do realism. It's like, no, okay, let me sit in on your sessions and learn.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I started tattooing when I was at the private studio in Mission, right?
Yeah, and actually, just to jump in here, and I'm not blowing smoke. This isn't a puff piece. Like when I've shown people what you've done for me, they've commented on the shading. And actually, like a visual artist, video FX artist guy, he was like, the shading on that is legit. And it would make total sense that the realism influence would factor into that.
And it's funny too, because even with your style, like that's a very simplified version of even what I can pull off. And it's like, but it's still the same concepts, right? Like, honestly, most traditional tattooers suck as soon as they're not using solid black or like, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to talk bad about a bunch of people, but when I started tattooing in Mission, so at this point I have influence on traditional and realism, but I was temporarily working at that private studio with my friend Jess, and she taught me a lot about fine line and stippling because I like saw some of her sleeves healed 10 years, and she's like, I'm like, this is some of the best fine line I've ever seen. And all of a sudden I started doing fine line traditional. And it's like, because there's this idea, and it's such a misconception, but people think bold will hold like trad tats, like, and they think it looks like you have to use a Sharpie size line. And nothing could be further from the truth. Like but I started embracing this like finer line stuff, these different approaches. So it's like, okay, now after that amount of time, I'm now incorporating this into my work.
Yeah.
And then over years of just studying different people, it's like I have a certain approach to color work, which is funny because my color work is actually polar opposite to the black and gray, where it's like, people are like, they're like, can I get these crazy blends? I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
They're like, do you have, I have one yellow. If people want a different yellow and they don't like mine, they just don't get yellow. But the reason for that is I know it's the best healing yellow I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And with color, it's like color fades faster than black and gray. So it's like in 10 years, you don't tell the difference between bumblebee and canary yellow. You're just happy if you can see yellow.
Yeah.
So like my color work is overly simplified, big, bold, in your face. Black and gray is where I really like to finesse things, but it's like, this is where the interesting style comes in. And it's like, it's never been about the artistic ego of like, oh, it's my art. I'm like, I've only ever grown my style based off what I've learned works really well in tattoos.
Yeah. And this will get into the trust element, which I want to talk about as well. And this will be a little like sneak preview of the trust element, but I did realize getting my first piece with you that, wow, you better trust your tattoo artist, because you actually don't see the final product until you're done. Cause it's just like outline that goes on and then you fill that in. So there's like literally the risk of like,
and like, to be fair, some artists will give you a shading study.
Yeah.
Over the years, or like, and they're very prepared and they like prepare every detail of the tattoo. And like, but that's not me.
It's not.
I've developed a formula. I actually found if I over prep, that produces some of the worst tattoos I've ever done.
Yeah, you told me that. And even
there's a formula.
Yeah. And you've told me no, or this isn't a good idea. In fact, I think the first time we like connected,
your email terrified me.
Because I had 2 freaking mood boards.
Yeah.
And you're like, I think you should see somebody else. I was like, no, I like your style. Like, this is just, let it saturate in your consciousness and then filter it through the Nick. Nick
This
style.
is what happened though. Your first email, you wrote me a novel and I'm like, there's 57,000 tattoo ideas here. I'm like, dude, this is too much. Like, I don't even know where to start with this. And then in your response, you simplified.
What did I say?
I can't even remember. But
I think I may have said something like, dude, just take all of that and just filter it through. He just got off a boat and might fight somebody. And then you messaged me back. You're like, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Dude, if you can't describe your tattoo idea in one sentence, your tattoo idea is too complicated.
Yeah.
Like it's real, but it's true. And it's like, you need to simplify.
Yeah.
Like some of the worst tattoos I've seen are when people try and incorporate like way too many concepts. And I don't blame them. Like it's like, if you're new to tattoo, like which you were new to tattooing or like getting tattooed, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably talked to other people, you've seen TV shows, but like you have to have grace for people coming in when they don't know certain things. And it's like, I don't like the snarkiness of some tattooers. And it's because it's like, they're like, oh, this person is asking me how much for a sleeve. And I can't believe who would ask that stupid question. I'm like, they don't know. They're just trying to inquire, man. Like
you're
like,
the professional.
Like walk them through it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard. It's your job, man. Like walk them through it. Like, could you imagine going to a mechanic and you're like, it's making a weird sound. Like, I don't know. There's like a bump, knock, knock. And then your mechanic starts ripping you apart for not knowing what a flux capacitor is. Like,
and actually, this is the thing. So like, I've worked in like cafes before. So like, hospitality matters to me. So if I go to a restaurant and I ask the person who's like the waiter or waitress, like, hey, I can't decide between this or that, which do you think I should get? And if they're like, I don't know, what do you want? I'm like, no, but you work here. Tell me which one you think would be better.
Oh, I love the experience of like going to a restaurant.
And just tell me what to get, you know?
Yeah. Like, give me the corny experience. I love the salesman experience. Like when I'm on the receiving end of it, like, I'll walk in and I'll be like, sometimes like I'll communicate if I don't, but like, I love the experience when people are into it. And like, same thing if you go to a restaurant and it's like, and your server connects with you.
But it's genuine. It's like, I'm selling you on an experience that I actually believe in.
It's honest.
That it's gonna deliver. Yeah.
A server might not be recommending, or a server might hit you with some oddball and be like, you know what, I'm going to be honest. There's this one item on the menu, doesn't sell great. I recently had it and it's the best thing I've ever had. That type of honesty, I'm like, done. I trust you. Yeah,
that's it. So I want to go back to what you're talking about, though, in terms of like the tracing, because this reminds me a lot about a lot of like icons in the Christian tradition, and even like theological tradition, musical traditions, that there's that impulse that you want to innovate right away, right? But actually taking time to understand the tradition, trace the forms, some of which are going to be very counterintuitive to you, but like they get under your skin and they become a part of you, and then over time, as you learn those forms and repeat and repeat and repeat, then something new comes out of that. I think it's like blues, right? Like you got to master like the shuffles, the progressions, and like that's your entry point. And then after getting your foot in the door and learning how to play with other people who are more advanced, then over time, right?
Yeah.
That's why I find it so fascinating.
Well, so I love that we're on traditions now, because when we agreed to podcast together, I realized I got to show off my Calvinist side by being on my first Christian podcast with whiskey and a cigar, but that cigar is like 2 years old. So, and I'll probably get evicted if I smoke that inside. So we're gonna pop us in to not sin. But the cigar is there for effect. But I think this is the new Calvinist movement.
Calvinists are switching to Zen.
Yeah, that's, oh man.
This show is not sponsored by Zen.
It might be predestined to be sponsored by Zen, though.
Oh, okay.
But I was saying, oh, right. So I think when I see this in new tattooers, I see this in myself a lot when, like, looking back. I was a cage stager when I first got into theology. Like, I was annoying. And I think what happens is we get into something, we get excited, but like until you experience an ego death, it is crazy how egotistical and narcissistic and self-focused we are as humans. Like it's like we are not born neutral. Like we are born sinful, dude. Like we are so self-focused, and it's like it's so crazy to think that like, and I've done this, so I'm speaking from experience with tattooing, with theology, with music, that I'm gonna walk into something with barely any knowledge or understanding of it. I'm just excited about it, and I think I'm gonna reinvent the wheel over people who've been doing it their whole life, studied, or like created, like the giants, the shoulders we stand on. Like, how ridiculous is that? Is like, it's kind of like when your toddler says like, "Watch me do this," and you're like, "Okay, buddy." Like that ego is crazy, and it's like until you have that ego death and you realize like all these things that I was knocking before, like this tradition or whatever it is you're like, you actually find the beauty in it and you find the wisdom in it too. Like, and back to what like we were talking about simplifying is like, I think we're quick to, when we go into something, we're quick to like, we see an idea that comes across as simple and we're like, we can refine this, but you don't know how much wisdom and is in that simpleness, right? Like you understand the impact of a statement and you're like, wow, I didn't realize that this carries the weight of that. And like, this is well thought out. And this is like, you've communicated the most with the least amount of words because it's so simplified.
So let's get into actually the conversation and the atmosphere of someone in the chair. Because, like, what I've experienced is it's not just a tattoo. It's not like
No.
in a way, it kind of reminds me of like a really good barber, right? There's an environment to the shop, and there's banter, there's jokes, there's goofiness, but then there's also moments of like depth and real conversation. Like the amount of memes I've seen now of like, should I go talk to my therapist or should I get a tattoo? Or maybe my tattoo artist is my therapist.
That's
right. So tell me a little bit about that, like your experience tattooing people, because the trust that's formed with people and the stories that are shared and like actually what that is like in your job.
So,
which is almost a vocation. Would you use that language?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so I know you said that at some point you're going to want a singular hot take, but I am going to.
This is all hot takes.
I'm going to
This
flood.
is all hot takes.
Honestly, 50% of what I say is a hot take. It's all going to be hot takes, but people value, and this isn't an excuse for poor craftsmanship. People value the experience more than the tattoo itself. They don't realize it, but they do. And again, I don't actually care about art that much. I don't get purpose out of art. I don't get purpose out of drawing. It's like there's something in tattooing, and it's like that experience. And it's, I told you I went to Bible college. Like I thought I wanted to be a pastor because I have good one-on-one skills and I'm passionate about things and all this. I realized I'm not equipped with the tools necessary to navigate interchurch politics. And I know that sounds like a dirty word, but I want to clarify that like, I'm not saying it in a bad way because I have friends who work in churches and they're so gifted at navigating that church dynamic. And I am not. I once threatened to break another staff or one of the staff's noses, and I got in a lot of trouble. I'm like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. Like, but like I can be blunt and like I can come across as a bit of on the fringe, right? Like growing up in hardcore and music, and you compare that to your typical Fraser Valley sheltered kid, and it's like I'm like, it seemed like two different worlds. Like, but, oh, I just lost track there. Okay, wait, sorry. What was the question again? It was,
Just well, I'm tracking with you on that. I mean,
yeah.
let me comment on that
Sorry.
because
Oh, the
I
experience,
yeah, yeah.
experience, right. Okay, so, sorry, I sidetracked myself there, but I thought I wanted to be a pastor, and I realized I'm not equipped to work in the church. I still serve at church. I love church. I'm pro church, like go to church.
Mhm.
Um, but I think God's given me a gifting of navigating the tattoo shop and being in the tattoo shop because I'm still I treat this as a, I treat this as ministry, the shop. Um, it, I will clarify, this is not a Christian tattoo shop. A tattoo shop cannot be Christian the same way that a band cannot be Christian. A band cannot be saved. A shop cannot be saved. Like, this is not a Christian shop. I'm the only one who is religious here. Um, but I run this in a way where my view of this shop is that I think God has given me certain giftings and he has entrusted the shop to me, and it's my response. It's God's shop, but it's my responsibility to steward it well. And it's my responsibility to lead by example. And I'm not super preachy, but I don't hide my faith, and I'll push back when I disagree with someone on something, but in a respectful way. And like some of the best conversations I've had with people are when they say like, I was really hurt by the church pattern. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, are you comfortable telling me about it? And it's like, I have this view of God that like, I'm okay if someone wants to rant about the church. I'm not going to pretend I agree with them, but I will give them an honest ear. And I will say like, I'm sorry to hear that you went through that. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's really cool because these people are never stepping inside of a church. And like, I don't even really want to list specific examples because it's like, it,
What happens in the chair stays in the chair.
kinda
Yeah.
like some people are like, man, you should like live stream your banter. I'm like, the world doesn't deserve it. And like, it's out of respect for my clients, but like, I've seen God move in some crazy ways and like ways that have brought me to tears. Like, it's unbelievable. But so I treat this whole thing as like, I'm here to serve people
Yeah.
the same way as in a pastoral role. And like, it looks different than working in a church. And I definitely don't have the same HR department as a church does.
And not a lot of churches have great HR departments.
Oh gosh, no.
It's usually the lead pastor's buddy who's just like
Or the
looking
wife.
for work, and it's like, okay, we'll put you on HR and budgeting.
Yeah, like I've still got a pretty colorful mouth, and I'm like watching myself because I'm trying to communicate what I'm trying to say really well. But like, um, all of that to say is like it. I try and be authentic here.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. And like, the experience is awesome. I love connecting with people. And I told you earlier, like, the art doesn't drive me. It doesn't fulfill me at all. People have given me free reign and they said, I'm coming in. I have unlimited budget. You pick you pick the design, the style, everything. And I've done some of the best technical best tattoos I've ever done in my life. That tattoo gave me no fulfillment. Um, it's the experience and the relationships and again, I'm trying to think of like examples that I'm comfortable sharing, but it's like the relationships is what gives it purpose. Our built friendship is what gives it purpose. Like, I don't have this inner desire or need to be creative. It's like whatever God's gifted me with, like, that's what I live for. And it's funny too, though, because like I benefit from it as well. Like, one of my most memorable experiences was with you like a year or so or something no, 2 years ago, probably. But like, I was going through a pretty intense time in my life. And like, I had anger issues for the first time. And I'm talking anger issues that would have landed me in jail. Like, I probably should have gone to jail a few times. And like, I've never felt anger like that before. And part of the cycle was like, Because it's not red hot anger like if you're road rage. I'm talking like cold, deep, calculated, malicious anger with real consequences. And I would feel that and it wouldn't go away, but then I'd feel shame about it because I'm like, why am I so angry right now? And one of our conversations, like I was seeing a counselor and to be fully blunt, I checked myself into counseling because I was planning to murder someone.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to do that because I'm a dad. And I realized how stupid that is. But I checked myself into counseling just to like create some accountability during this time. And like I tattooed you during that time. And you just kind of like, we were talking about it and you hit me with where like, you know, have you ever considered this is a good thing that you're feeling this anger? You're like, you kind of bottle things up and repress them and like maybe celebrate that for once in your life. You're actually feeling it. And man, like that was one of the most impactful moments of experiences of my whole career. Like it was nuts. So like I benefit from it as well. Like
Well, I remember that, and it is interesting actually because as we're sitting here talking, it's kind of like it's almost as if like I were to invite my therapist onto this show and have a conversation. It's similar but different because there are things there are things that you and I talk about and say, and like, and then with all that, I'm like, my therapist and I definitely don't
no,
have that banter. But then we go from like absolutely ridiculous, inappropriate to something as serious as that. And I do remember that, and I remember actually telling you the story behind um the vision for the tattoo that we've been working on,
mm-hmm.
and I hadn't told you that. Um, and it wasn't that I was like I was hiding it, but I just held back on giving you all the details on it. And and for me, like the story behind the work that I've done, like there's a lot of pain and sadness and anger behind it. And it was kind of like that was the moment where I was like, okay, like Michael's gonna share, Nick's gonna share, and there's like a bond that's formed. And I
100%.
remember saying like because I it taken out of context, it would sound so strange to be like, hey, maybe it's a good thing that you got so angry that you wanted to do that. But if I remember correctly, what I said, I was like, the anger that you felt was you finally standing up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, have you felt that before about people who have like really hurt you? And you're like, not really. I'm like, well, maybe your anger is Nick being like, no longer am I going to let this happen. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the like, it's a strange thing of like the tattoo is like a vehicle to it because it's like a very painful experience. You
Yeah.
get something beautiful at the end, which I think is like a profound metaphor for life and discipleship of like you start, you take a leap of faith, there's no turning back. There's some really difficult parts along the way, but in the end, you get something beautiful. And the person that was close to you while you were in that moment of pain is with you all along, and you get to the end and you're like, it's like there's a bond there that's formed. It's like a deeply like existential spiritual healing thing.
Now, could you imagine, and I'm gonna just to kind of prove my point here, coming to me for a tattoo where you really cared about the meaning. And like one thing I pride myself on is like when I talk to people about tattoos, I'm not listening to what they're asking for. I'm listening to what their vision is. And because I want to take your vision, catch what's behind it, create that and exceed your expectations. I care about what you get tattooed. I don't care about my own artistic ego. I really don't.
Hmm.
And could you imagine you come into me for that tattoo that means a lot to you, that's very deep down. Apologies, I'm going to swear, but instead of having the connection we did, if I was just an egotistical artist about it and you walked away from the experience and be like, wow, that guy was a fucking dickhead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How gross would that feel every time you look at your tattoo?
Mm.
Like that's why I say it's not about the art. It really is the experience. It's like everything that's created around it, it's like I'm trying to think of the word, but like
No, I
there's
know what the word is.
it's such a
Nick.
like
It's the magic.
it's the
Fucking
magic, but like
It's the magic.
you have to have a reverence for the experience. Like, man, like some of the tattoos I've done, it's like, whoa, this is real. Like
Yeah.
some of the things that people have told me while I'm tattooing them, and it's like, and on maybe on a tattoo that seems silly or something, they're like, oh, this is what it's for. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a big deal, and this is something that needs to be respected. I need to be reverent of this, and I need to treat people good, and I need to serve people. Like I that's my attitude towards it, and because it's important, man. Like it,
Yeah. Well,
and you get great experience, and like selfishly, I make a ton of friends out of it. Like I love it.
yeah. Yeah. Oh man. And it's funny too, because now I've gotten to the point where like in some of the more like prominent parts, like my arms, like that's kind of like the canvas for like the super meaningful stuff that I really want to go to. But like other parts, I'm at that point now, I'm like, I really just like this. And like your first let's go as buddies and get tattoos, like
Yeah,
going with two other friends and getting buddy tattoos, because their wives are like, we're gonna get you buddy tattoos for Father's Day. We come here, we cook some hot dogs, like we all get the same tattoo, and like that is just as meaningful as well too. And you're like, if someone looked at it, you're like, that's the Shorzy logo on your ribs, why would you get that? I'm like, this one is like, you don't get it, like
yeah,
you have to be there to get it, right? It but you're right, the other side of it too is like, because it's such a permanent thing, if it's a good experience, that good experience is permanent. If it's a bad experience, it's permanent as well. Well,
I
unless you get the lasering, but
yeah. And it sounds strange, but like I was lucky enough to have a really bad experience getting tattooed,
mm,
and this was before I was a tattooer. And I remember I got tattooed, and it had been a while since I had gotten tattooed, and I left it being like, well, that's stupid. Why do people get these things? Is like that hurt. That guy wasn't that nice. Like I just felt like a burden to be there. Like he rushed it, didn't care. And like I didn't get tattooed for a few years after that because I was like, I just didn't see it as a priority anymore.
mm,
Because I'm like, that's dumb. I don't feel like I got my money's worth. Like that's just is what it is.
mm,
It's just a piece of art at this point.
mhm,
Art doesn't actually hold that much value in that sense. Like,
mm,
but man, like I remember when I got my hand tattooed by a guy named Cody Cox. He works in Vancouver now, but he was at a shop in Surrey called Boulevard. Rest in peace, Boulevard. Uh, I walked in there and I spent an hour and a half, 2 hours in that shop, and I left feeling like I went to high school with those guys.
mm,
And I was like, oh, that's right. There's magic to this.
mm,
And after that, I started getting tattooed a bunch. And then I was like, yeah, every time I went back there, they're like, they all remember my name. We're all chatting. As similar shop dynamic where, well, their shop was like half the size of this one, but like there was magic there, and like the sense of belonging, the sense of community created at this shop. And it's like, that's what it's about. And that's so cool. Like, and it's the same thing with church community too, right?
yep,
Like people find their community. And it's like this shop in the short time it's been open, the way God has moved and like the community that's been created around here with non-Christians
mm,
has been, I'm just like, whoa,
yeah,
like take a step back and be like, how lucky am I to like steward this?
yeah,
This isn't my shop. Like I get no credit for this at this point. Like, sure, I picked the wall colors. I opened it, but it's like, it's shop's not about me.
mm,
And like, there's magic here.
mm, I love that. Yeah, because I think people are lonely. People crave community and places to go where they feel like they belong, right?
Yeah. And tattoo. And the thing is like, you can, I think, or sort of like to go back to what we said earlier, it's hard to find community at a Taylor Swift concert where you're kind of just all like, you're like, yeah, we all like the same thing. But the community you find at a hardcore show is way different.
Mm,
Like
mm,
And that's not saying that like community is bad within the Taylor Swift community. Like my wife went to the Eras tour and it sounded like a really, really pleasant experience. Everyone was super nice and all this, but maybe it was a bit superficial. But then you go to a hardcore show and next thing you know, you're like talking to some guy about the deepest part, or like you go up to a band member and talk about like that song really hit me deep, and like you create this connection. It's like that's where the magic is. It's like in this small fringe community that's not for everyone.
We already got into this a little bit, but I want to ask it more directly. First of all, the elephant in the room question for the Christians listening or watching: how does God feel about tattoos, Nick?
I have got
what
a
is the
great
Bible?
answer
What does the
for this.
Bible say about tattoos? And how does God feel about them?
Okay, I think it's 1928. Perfect. I know it's 1928 because I actually wanted to get the words Leviticus 1928 tattooed on me.
Oh, nice.
You shall not make any cuts on your body for the dead or tattoo yourselves. I am the Lord. So it's pretty specific. The problem is everyone loves to take things out of context.
They do? Christians like to take Bible passages out of context and hit other people over the head with them? I'm shocked.
You know what? The Lord knows his plans for you. Or what's our plans to prosper? No, dude. Like, stop listening to Osteen and repent, dude. Like, God does not call us to prosper. He calls us to suffer. Like, let's get real here.
Remember that is delivered to a people in exile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was happening here? So people will quote this verse because it's direct.
Mm-hmm.
God was establishing an order for Levitical priests, and in that culture, he was trying to set his commands. Correct me if I'm wrong here. He was trying to set his people apart, and part of that was physically. Now, it also says in the same chapter about not to shave your beard a certain way, not to wear mixed fabrics. And in that time, this is where I don't like how they've translated it, because there wasn't modern tattooing back then. What they were doing was more closer relation to scarification. There was some ink, but like it was scarification or solid black ink in patterns that were in worship to deities.
Kind of like what you see in Elijah and the priest of Baal.
Yeah.
When they're like, they got the altar and it's like the showdown of the deities.
Yeah.
And the priest of Baal like can't get the altar light on fire, so they start harming themselves to try and get
so
Baal to show up.
This version of tattooing isn't modern tattooing. So I don't like that they actually use the word tattooing. Scarification would probably be a closer thing. But it was in worship of other gods. It was all this, which ties kind of into idolatry. It's not saying don't get a panther tattoo. Like, and that's where people like kind of really take it out of context. There's like, okay, like God was, and he was saying this specifically because everyone in that time was scarring themselves. And he's like, no, I want my priest to stand out. So it was a very time specific. However, I will pull something from this passage, and it's something that I still practice on when I tattoo today, and I'll say no to things, is I don't do satanic tattoos. I don't do anti-God tattoos. It took me a while before I was able to do Japanese tattoos, like I kind of in good conscience, because so much of it is tied to like stories and different deities and like all this. But he's basically saying like, don't mark your body in offering to the dead or in offering to the dead or other gods. So it's like, okay, like that really has no relevance. And then the other passage people like to use is, I don't even remember which book it was, which probably tells me I need to read my Bible more, but is your body's a temple. And this is where people get it wrong, taken out of context. Oh, it's Corinthians, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, right. I remember I remember the book because of the story. Paul's rebuking the Corinthian church because they're having orgies at church.
Mm.
They're sexually immoral. He's like, stop gangbanging each other. Your body's as a temple of the Holy Spirit, and you're desecrating it.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Paul talks about like sexual sin is elevated. This is not like he's like, this will destroy you, which I think is evident. Like, did you see that new not docuseries, but like the show Monster about Ed Gein?
Oh, dude, I like a little bit of true crime, and I like psychological thrillers, and like David Fincher film, like
Yeah,
all that stuff. I can't do the monster ones.
fair enough.
It's like next level. I
It
don't
was
judge people.
it was next level.
Yeah.
But my point with that is that you look at all these serial killers. Do you know where it all starts? Porn.
Yeah.
Sexual sin.
Was it Dahmer who went on record saying that, or was
it was Dahmer.
Yeah. Right. We're like
all of them. All of these like crazy we don't understand how bad this sexual sin is for us. Like it rots your brain. It like it causes you to commit evil. Like like I've told you before, I went to Teen Challenge. I had a pass. Like in my drug of choice was cocaine, and like I am so scared of the person that I was. Like I hate who I am when I do it because it changes me. It like it's an evil, disgusting person, and that's why I'll never do it again because I'm like I don't want to be that person. And it's the same. Like porn has that effect. Like sex is the most powerful drug. So like Paul's rebuking the church because he's like, you don't know the fire you're messing with. Like that's the context of this. He is not talking about tattoo. Like stop twisting it like that. Like this is a serious issue. Stop using it to prove your own point, or like sorry, I get heated on this topic, but it's like I've noticed this in Abbotsford with like the Mennonite culture we have here. And like I go to Mennonite church, love Meadows. Pasca, shout out Pasca. But like I've seen a lot of families that value tradition over scripture. And I think that's where this stems from. It's like the no tattoos thing it's a tradition. And they value that over scripture, which is like, if you don't want to get tattooed, that's fine. And personally, like I actually think tattooing can be a sin for some people. If you feel convicted to not get a tattoo, don't get one.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of Christians that will only get tattoos if it's directly like about God or the Bible or like a verse. That's fine. I know some Christians that are like, I'm too convicted. I can't get a tattoo. And I love that. I love that they live by their convictions. I would never try and convince them to get a tattoo. So no, I don't think getting tattooed is sin. However, I don't think God likes them. And you know why? Because all the coolest ones are in the most painful places. You know what looks really cool? A stomach tattoo. You know the movie Saw?
Yeah.
If you ever want to experience that feeling, get your stomach tattooed. It's awful. Like all of the tattoos where I'm like, that is cool. That looks so good. The sternum, knee ditch. Also, shout out Jeremy for letting me tattoo your knee ditch. But yeah, so that's what my joke. I was like, I don't know if God likes them because all the really cool ones are really painful.
Or do you think it's like, how badly do you want this? It's like, if you really want this, you got to earn it.
Yeah.
Alternative reading, glass half full.
Well, I think what makes them cool too is like, if you see someone, if you're talking tattoos with someone, and I'm not talking bad about anybody's tattoos, like I don't think that there's a hierarchy to them. Like I get the tattoo, like if your tattoo, you love it and it's important to you, like that's all that matters. But I'm just using this like, if you like, even you have a fair amount of work. We've gone right up in hearing you, and I took you to the holy place there. Like it hurts. So if you have a conversation with someone that has a tiny bit of script right here. And they're like, tats don't hurt. I love the feeling. And you're like, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you've done my ribs. That one hurt the most, probably.
Yeah.
That one was spicy.
Yeah.
But you actually are super fast too, so
yeah.
You're like a SWAT team operative. You're like
Yeah, that's definitely my
clinical.
approach. It's efficient.
You're a Navy SEAL.
I actually hate telling people that I tattoo fast. And I'm gonna brag a little bit. I'm the fastest tattooer in the Fraser Valley.
Okay.
Like, it's not even close.
Is your tagline the Ricky Bobby? I want to go fast.
If you ain't first, you're last, baby.
Do you have it on the hood of your car?
I should, but no, I actually hate using the word fast because people think that I rush.
You're clinical.
I'm efficient.
You're focused.
I don't need to.
You're a freaking laser beam.
And this ties into the ADHD. I understand what's happening, and I don't need to do a line slow and then wipe and check the line and make sure it's like, dude, I run my machines like a concrete chisel, and I know that it's in. So most people, they'll line, wipe, check it. Dude, I'll line your whole tattoo. Shout out Jeremy again. I did this massive dragon on his thigh. I lined the whole thing in 45 minutes, and most tattooers, that would take 3 hours.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeremy. I know that probably hurt.
Well, if you're gonna approach it like a concrete chisel, you want it to be solid, but also not take a long time.
Well, that's the thing is, like, nothing's worse when you're getting tattooed and it's like, you look down and you're like, okay, we're probably halfway done the line, or like, we're probably almost done the line work. And you're like, bro, you're not even a quarter done. But you know what is awesome? When you're getting tattooed and you're like, okay, I think we're here. And then you look down, you're like, oh my gosh, we're so much farther ahead than I thought. I can sit through this. So it hurts to get tattooed by me. I am not gentle at all. I had so many comments to add after that. I'm like, PG-13, Nick, bring it back. So that's progress. But so, like, no, I'm not gentle. Like, it hurt. I'm heavy-handed. It hurts to get tattooed by me. But the reason I do it is because it produces the best results. And I'm not going to waste time going into the science behind it, because I'm very methodical about everything I do. And people think that, like, maybe I'm just fast, aggressive, like, I'm just going. Like, I'm like the kid riding his bike fast, not looking. No. I know everything behind what I'm doing. I'm beyond methodical about everything. It's just really chaotic and fast. So, you know, it's funny. It's like, it actually works against me. Like, most tattooers charge hourly. A lot of time I have to charge flat rates, or else I tattoo too fast. Like, if I was on par with charging what other people are charging, my hourly should be about $300 to $350 an hour. So it actually works against me the way I work, but it produces the best results I've seen. All the tattooers that I look up to, they tattoo the same way. They're faster than me, and they produce amazing results. And it's like, okay, no, I'm more interested in producing good results than I am like trying to milk every like dime and penny out of you.
Yeah. Don't use unequal weights. Okay. So, a couple more questions, then we'll land the plane here. We've talked a lot about like the sort of spiritual and the ministry element, but I want to give you like, if you were to sort of describe how your faith informs what you do, how it's like a foundational aspect of what you do, how would you describe that?
So I grew up atheist, agnostic atheist, but what helped convert me was the evidence of like the fruit of everything happening, right? And like, so the way that I approach business, and I hope I'm answering the question right, but it's like,
there's no right way to answer.
I do everything from a Christian worldview, in the sense of like how I approach things, how I manage my staff. I very much have service-based, bottom-up leadership. I am not, like, my job here is to serve them and help them succeed. They are not here to Like, I was gonna say I don't walk around here hide and strut my stuff, but I definitely like to strut at work. So, um,
But it's a
but
very humble strut.
I hope so. No, but like um, I was talking to you about the numbers earlier and how I kind of do things differently here.
Mm,
Everything I do with my staff is set up so that they can succeed.
mm,
And that is my priority. And I do that because of the worldview. The way that I look at this shop is not the success of this shop is not because of me. It's because of God and it's because of the people that come here. Like, um, and yeah, I don't know. I think my faith plays a part in my work in the sense of like, I find that when you actually implement what the faith teaches, things tend to go good.
mm,
You know what I mean? Like, um, one of my favorite things, and this is kind of like, I think this is a verse or somewhat like quoting, but like, I heard this pastor speaking. This was kind of like right around when I actually converted. And the pastor opened his sermon with like, we could be wrong. Realistically, like we can be wrong. It's possible. And I'm okay admitting that. But I'm going to choose to live my life by faith because like, and this isn't the only reason I have faith, but it's like, if you, if, and this is technically impossible, but like, if someone come up to me and prove without a shadow of a doubt that Christianity wasn't real, God, and this is all happenstance and like just random, and there's no objective morality and all this, I'd still probably live my life the same way because like it does. I don't know if I want to say makes my life better because again, it's not like, but it does make my life better.
mm,
It makes the way I run my business better. It like when you hold to these morals and like this way of doing things, it's like, and when you treat this as like this is not mine, this is God's. Everything that we own is God's. Like, um, I can honestly say that like because I told you like things are going like suspiciously well here because
mm,
of how good the shop's been doing. Um, I could lose everything tomorrow if this building burnt down. Um, if everyone quit, if all my stuff got stolen. Um, I could lose everything and I would still find joy in that trial.
mm,
And and my first response would be God is good.
mm.
And it's just like, so it's just trusting. It's not about me. I'm admonishing control of that. Like,
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about that classic, oh, I don't believe Jesus was the son of God, but I believe, he's a good teacher. Because like even if you just go with some of the teachings, like the more you just you hear his teachings, like it's like love God and love your neighbor as yourself, and you're like, wow, that's a really good teaching. He's like, okay, who's my neighbor? And he's like, oh yeah, it's the person you hate. You're like, even that's a radical teaching,
well,
and like, but I'm like, there's something compelling to that is radical. I
it's
think
counter,
it's
it's
counterintuitive, but I think it
counterintuitive.
represents a better way to live. And I think if we're talking like the magic, this is something that keeps coming up. The fact that like not only that that's something that he suggests you do, but he also kindles the desire to do that and makes it possible for you to do that. Like
Yeah.
only a miracle can make a
And
person care for somebody that they just deeply dislike in their bones.
so two things on that response is like when people are like, "Oh, I just like the teachings of the Bible," but Jesus is a good teacher, but like I that's all he is. I'm like, well, you haven't really listened to his teachings, and if that's
Mm,
all you think he is,
hmm
like it's yeah, like there's a lot to be said about that. Where it's like, okay, like when people like, for example, when people are like, I'm spiritual, but I don't go to church because the church is bad, and like I love Jesus, and I'm like, Jesus says that the church is his bride.
And his body.
You and I wouldn't be very good friends if I just talked bad about your wife.
Mm,
Like that's your bride. Um, And second part to that, like the counterintuitive thing, like that's actually like a big part of how I run my business.
Mm.
Um, is really and part of this might be impulse and like just my chaotic behavior, but like I did not stick to the modern business marketing plan with this shop. Like
Mm.
I have stuck to my guns. Like we don't have street signage. We don't have a telephone. We are going to get a website, but it counterculture website. Um, I went as far as like I got everyone to leave nicely worded, but I want to be 1 star on Google. I don't want our shop to pop up the top. Like, and it works. And like that's a whole thing, but like I don't try and follow the norm. And like I think that's the same with like the way Jesus teaches things. And like it's really easy to love your neighbor when your neighbor brings you baked goods or like is quiet and respectful. Um one of the like when you can genuinely like love people that hate you and your enemies, like I told you about my like last landlord situation is like I was really challenged to like acknowledge the situation and acknowledge my anger towards it, but also acknowledge his side and be able to give to generously
Mm.
be able to speak his point of view and where he was coming from.
Yeah.
And like even when my car got stolen a couple of years ago, the morning that I realized it was stolen, not gonna lie, got a little sinful, and I may have been driving around looking to whatever. But like I was ready. There's that part in you that's like that vengeance that like you want to satisfy that feeling or whatever. And it's like, you know what felt the best? Like that morning after I drove around, I came home and I read James and it says, "Count it all joy when you experience trials." I'm like, am I joyous that my car got stolen? And I pondered on it. Took me a while, but now I am joyous that it got stolen. And I got to a point where I forgave the people and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to recover from this. I trust God and he's going to use this to his glory and my like my good and his glory. And like, I forgave him. And I realized I'm like, if you're at a point in life where you're stealing an old crappy car with 2 car seats in the back, like, I'm sorry for whatever happened to you that brought you to this point in life. Like, I really do hope you get better.
Mm.
The amount of power that gave me,
Mm.
like, you can't like when you play the victim and stuff like that, like you're giving over control of your own life, like your own thing. And like when you love your enemies, like no one can offend me.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you can say anything you want to me. You won't offend me. You don't have any power over me.
Yeah. I was thinking about that on the way here. I've been thinking a lot about the Apostle Paul, where like before he became Paul, he was Saul, and Saul was like the king prawn of Pharisees and was like,
Committed genocide,
yeah, like
Christianocide.
killing Christians. It says he's pulling like men and women and families out of their homes and throwing them in prison and getting directive from religious leaders to like keep doing it and
Hmm.
like and then he meets Jesus and he changes his name from Saul, which is like about strength and power, to Paul, which is about weakness. And from then on, he's like everything that I thought was awesome about myself and that the world and my like people thought was awesome, I counted as nothing. I
Hmm.
was thinking about when he's writing letters to churches from prison, and he's like, "Yeah, this might be it for me, folks." And there are people in some of these churches that are like slandering me, and they're preaching the gospel for false gain, and it's not true. And some of you have abandoned me and just left me here for dead. Um, but he ends that section being like, "And yet." I celebrate that the gospel is still being preached.
Hmm.
You're like, only a miracle can do that in a person's life.
Hmm.
Um, right. And I think, again, as I said before in that session, it's like growth is self awareness that you're in that state of anger And real growth is deciding that it's not a good idea to follow through,
Yeah,
right? Like that's evidence of change. It's
it's
really possible.
it's really just denying yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
I was talking to a close person to me like recently about this. I'm like, just about because there was a conflict situation, and I was like, and they showed me their response to the conflict, and they're like, "I'm in the right here." I'm like, "Actually, you're not."
Hmm.
And I'm like, "You're the way that you responded." I'm like, "Did it feel good to respond like that?" And they're like, "Well, yeah." And I'm like, "Usually, when things feel really emotionally good when we're heated, we're
Hmm.
serving ourselves." And when like, again, I hold a view that like I I don't trust my heart. I like it's inherently sinful. Like I usually like when my car got stolen, I did not want to forgive them.
Hmm.
I I wanted to serve myself and commit what I acts that would make me feel righteous and justified. And it's like it's we think that we're and like even to tie back to the ego thing, like one of my favorite passages in scripture is like um the unforgiving servant or whatever that was.
Oh yeah.
The guy gets forgiven like crazy debt, and then he like attacks someone over a way smaller debt. And it's like, you wicked servant. And I'm like, that concept is like, and I talked earlier about like the person I plan on murdering, and I got convicted. It's like God's like, you want to commit this, and like you can't forgive them, but like their trespasses against you are nothing compared to your trespasses against me. And I sent my kid to die for you.
Mm.
I would not sacrifice my kid for anyone. Like, not like, sorry, Megan, but like, not even my wife. They're like, it's the kid or Megan, I'd be like, sorry, kid. Like, you're a dad, you understand the deep love for your kids. Like,
Mm.
it's, it is this, until you have kids, you will never understand this depth of love. And the idea of atoning for your enemies with the death of your child is like, it, like you really can't serve, like you have to forgive. Like it's once you really understand how much you've been forgiven, it's like, okay, I'm not in a position to be angry.
Mm.
I'm going to trust God with this, and I'm going to pray for my enemies. And man, that feels good. It brings the power to you.
Mm. I love that. Well, I got one more question.
Okay, one more answer.
I know that you have a lot of great stories. So, what's one great tattoo related story that you can tell to end all of this off? It could be tattoo adjacent, right? But
Oh, okay, no.
we've talked about this before, right? Like,
Okay, so I actually got a really good one. And
okay,
this is the power of tattooing. And it's not because I've got like wild stories of like me and my coworkers almost like fighting people and like that, but like this one is genuinely just great. So um when I was early on in my career, I worked at a shop in Abbotsford, and these two people came in for a walk-in, and it was a sister and a brother. And they're like, "Hey, we just want to get matching tattoos. Well, my brother's in town. He's from the island." And I was like, "Yeah, sounds good." Like, did the tattoos for them. I'm tattooing this guy, and I'm like, we were like, "Do we know each other? Like, you look familiar." And he's like, "Well, I live on the island." I'm like, "I've never even been to the island, so whatever. You must just look normal." But they both had a good experience. And next time he came into town, I tattooed him again. And because he's like, "Dude, I want to book in again." I was like, "Sweet." And I can't remember if it was the second or the third time, but uh, he eventually let it slip. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to go see some buddies from Kelowna." And I'm like, "Oh, who are they? There's maybe a small chance I know them." And I didn't know these specific buddies. But then he drops like, "Oh yeah, I lived in Kelowna for 2 years." And I was like, "Wait, how old are you?" And he's exact same age as me. I'm like, what years were you there? And he tells me, and I'm like, okay, like, what high school did you go to? We went to the same high school. And I was like, wait, who did you hang out with? And at this point, like, me and him are friends. Like, we're tight, we're homies. Like, I love tattooing this guy. He's awesome. And then he tells me his friends. And I told him my friends, and it all came rushing back together. We hated each other. Like, we said some nasty, I won't say because it's PG-13, but like, we hated each other. And it was like, that moment we realized, I'm like, oh, you told me to kill myself as a teenager. But like, we were friends. So I'm like, we just gotta laugh about it. We're still great friends.
Wow.
And so we joke about it all the time, but it's like, we didn't recognize it until we realized that we went to high school together. And it's like, oh, that's where we know each other from. But no, I can't say enough good things. Shout out Dylan. Like, yeah, that was one of the most wild coincidences. And I'm like, wow, tattooing really brings the world together, dude.
It's the magic.
It's the magic in this little machine.
It's the magic. I realized I missed one crucial question. Where does the name Electric Eagle come from?
This is also a good story because it's not as deep as you think it is. Okay, well, so 2 years ago I went on a mission. I got hyperfixated on eagle designs, so I did a few in a week, and I was like, I think this might be the best image in tattooing. Like, you can put it anywhere, it flows with the body, you can do it any style, any budget. Like, they're just so dynamic. And I was like, I really wanted to study the art of them and like how to get them to flow. And like, actually, this painting right here was one of the studies from that year. Because I was studying how to make, because everyone talks about bold being thick lines. This huge painting is done with the equivalent of a single needle liner. Like, you see how thin the lines are? That's a bold design. But so I was on a big eagle hyperfixation. And I just leaned into it. Like, I went to a convention that year and I did eagle only tattoos. And so that was kind of that year. But my wife and I went to vacation up at Big White, and we got a little sauced up in the hot tub on white wine. Shout out Matua. Sauvignon Blanc is our favorite wine. But yeah, so my wife and I were sauced up in the hot tub, and I was talking about, and she's like, if you were to like own a shop, what would the vibe be? And I'm like, I was kind of telling her, and she's like, okay. She's like, well, what would the name be? And I'm like, I don't know. I like tradition. I like simple stuff. Like, and I was like, it would probably be like, this was me telling her, or so I told her, I'm like, yeah, probably like classic tattoo or something simple. And this was the same, me telling her that, as it was me telling my mom that I wanted to be a house painter. Like, and she's like, no, that's stupid. You need it to like reflect you. Like, it needs to be something crazy, like Electric Eagle. And I'm like, done.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And she's like, well, no, like, we can talk. I'm like, no. It's done. And the shop didn't open for a solid year and a half before that, but it was like, or after that. But yeah, it was a 20-second conversation in the hot tub after a bit too much wine. And Megan came up with the most reserved person I know, like the most trendy. She came up with the name Electric Eagle. But I love it. Everyone's welcome. Your ideas aren't safe. You might get offended, but being offended is a choice. You'll be safe if you come here. Like, as long, like, just don't be a jerk. But I welcome open discussion and debate. Everyone's welcome.
I think that couldn't be a better place to end. So,
love you, man.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time and coming down here.
What's this guy's name?
I don't know.
Just Eagle.
Well, that's actually my driver head cover.
The big dog.
He looks like an Ed.
Yeah. Ed. Love it.
Or no, Doug.
Doug. Yeah. Alpha Doug.
Little Dougie.